Accra Psychiatric Hospital. Wano aba come insa e fidua mu a ye be hyan komotwetwe na se doc. Anopa mi jiri se mpombo ko de. Aye kurakura mun kakra. Mo na eye mo ba be so aye na mo de ensem wo de eba nti yen sha asem fan free eye se obi ka se illicit drug doc mo na munim de yen de nim de mo nkyere mu illicit drugs no den ade
se fa menfa akonya yenchia wetiefo ne wahwefo nyina ya case drugs are in raw ye were two kinds of drugs you the friend no prescribed drugs and illicit drugs.
Prescribed drugs near there.
Prescribed drugs near there be a wako so wako ya sabia na doctor and pharmacist and any qualified health professional. Atro amawa and no like there is a note to it because uhiasa edrono. Na no ne friend prescribed drugs. Ya kasi bibi illicit drugs mean that e nura ye ma ho kwan say nipa enyusu nipa ye ma ho kwan e bia doctor na pharmacist bia e ma ho kwan na say o man nim rampo etia say sa enuro no ye be yusu e wo ye man nim nti ye hwe illicit drugs na ye man nim ne ye constitution na ebi eno ni cocaine ebi ni marijuana and ebi friend we no ebi ni heroin ebi ni tramadol ye fan overdose. If you're talking about tramadol, no, tramadol a prescribed drug. Tramadol.
As you wait me asopeti. I'm a doctor. Catch say, "Konagogope
tramadol." Yes.
Okay.
Because tramadol no a drug for pain, but say often in doses are doctors and prescribe higher doses no and they illicit. It's tramadol cry under normal circumstance nunca pharmaceutical companies and our pharmacy shops they are not supposed to like prescribe as a prescription anymore. A drobit is said tramadol no they are not supposed to prescribe inti say ye share my name there are a lot of illicit drugs going on here cause illicit drug in summary no a drew a nipa befa a bina na emra no ma ho kwan permission ma ho permission say you should use that drug in a particular setting.
Doc, mona mo the Accra Psychiatric Hospital na mo asan agi enimde any eyesuahunu in some of these issues. Is the use and I say abuse of illicit drugs that of a big problem in Ghana as we speak? Globally, it's a major problem. According to the World Drug Report in about 2016, no, the last one no, about 15 to 20% of people between the ages of 16 and 60 are using illicit drugs. And from research, worldwide, globally, drugs are use the kesepa number one, cannabis. Dear friend, we know use number two, what you call amphetamines. But you buy my muhadia, cannabis, no we know, and ensa na opioids. It's said trauma. Ensa,
yes.
Ensa,
ensa, alcohol abuse.
Okay.
Alcohol abuse is very, very common. And over the past 2 or 3 years, the number of cases especially from our secondary schools and our universities, number of cases is on the rise. A cost reply to or secondary schools and university campuses. So it is on the rise. A lot of people are abusing drugs now.
What probably might lead to the rise in the abuse of illicit drugs? Doc, I think that you may have a bit of a perspective on that. And then, and especially the as someone can say oko school to us secondary school and universities it looks as if it is very prevalent at those places. Why is that even the case?
So from scientific research, one of the major causes of people first of all peer pressure. And the advent of social media and the way information econo won't say it looks cool say bia or you share your music videos bia nkofobi na mo no na we need your mano and some of the utterances are social media no it influences our younger ones and there's a psychologist called Albert Bandura. And I see most children or people they learn by observation. Until they are nipa ni hu bebre no eno na eyo mo fe. Two,
it is also the easy access to some of these illicit drugs. Now it is very common, like Oko campuses, there are people who are peddling some of these drugs, and so now first no ajibia Oko get to be a na bibi ehwe hu ansa wonya. But now even on the streets, parties and everything, so no way common. Cannabis is common, alcohol is common, tramadol, amphetamines, cocaine and all those things, they are being portrayed at our parties, and people have a lot of access to it. Unlike previously, it was very difficult for you to have access to it because no BSU. But it looks like now the fear factor is also going. Two, the third thing I also say is that it is because now no say obi yusu in no bonekrana or can. It looks like opese o hanipa kron. Unlike first na ye baswa who say obi yusu na utune for beti. Now it looks like there is a lot of freedom in the world now. People have been given the luxury to do what they want.
The freedom is what seems to be say can man for say oh we there obetimi akwa esan say me ye kura na nya ade a obi ebetimi aka bibi a chere me esan say my brabonti.
So the issue with your friend of bibi say addiction, no say bronika say addiction. Addiction no containing about 3 components, 3 characteristics. One, compulsive use. That means that nipa no to me share no so. There is also excessive craving. Nipa no epe. Say oh yeah, and there is excessive seeking. Their baby and sabeka nubon no obey you. The thing is that say start use you fan say me fa bit cannabis. We use be that now start use wa. Ye na nipa na ye wo no ye free be reward system. Your hormone be we friend dopamine. Their obey bia enu na tua oka. And naturally the 2 things that raises your dopamine levels aduane and sex. Sex no be raise your dopamine to be about 150. Aduane ebe raise it to be 100. So naturally the things that satisfy most people the most. So when you aduane and if you have sex.
Yeah.
These are the 2 things that satisfy. However, offer a draw bit is a cannabis. Offer a draw bit is say obi therefore say obi no bibi to say ensa. Naturally, they raise it to 150. Onomun sam and broswa. It me raises our dopamine to about 300. Offer cannabis and now we are to me ma level no cover 400. Offer amphetamines and as tramadol, heroin, any to me cover 800. So body also has been trained for reward. The away be about when you continue.
Yes.
So if you open the gateway, you are introduced to some of these things. Bibi or her friend who prefrontal cortex, or front part of your brain, it has memory. It is say, oh, wow, sometimes say, I don't be or then now undi for some time, and I say, I say, go be here, hey, Mamin Konkodi be nice. So, a best start akayo. So that is why I can say drug addiction and a drug use is more of an illness than more behavioral. Because once you start taking it, it changes your brain, and your brain wants more of it because it wants you to feel good. It is a nipa start here now. Such changes start happening. You realize that they always want it, and of course, when they say, "Oh, start here," and say, "We all started with," and say 2 rows. It gets to a time the 2 rows cannot raise the body to that level. They are MR 450. No, they also call 3 rows. They also call 4 rows. They also call 5 rows. Then you get to a point that you be taking number of rows around to me. It's the same with alcohol. We best start with 1 thought. After some time, 1 thought no end energy because body not getting used to it. Then also call 2 thoughts. Also call after the nipa no one sorry ahoma chekura anko rinsa unto me enye juma. And that is where we get to that the person has become addicted to the drug and now we do drug dependence. So it is more of a biological something that goes on with the brain. So you're advising for say if you don't need the medicine, it is patient first. Don't put it in your body.
Dog, enkomo no ye de baba me musa asem we. But we are for no. Do we have a conventional measure and as a conventional metric system? Okay, this is what we term as an abuse. If a person says, "Hey, bia, 2 liters of alcohol," and only say abuse, and because some of these drugs are boy, there were different metric systems. Isusu, and then a better say, "Oh, and as if or kwakono club bottle back." And no trace my abuse na.
Okay. So your systems of classification. First of all, your normal use.
when you use any substance, you get it. One, prescribed that normal, say be natural. And as you say, instance, say be anyone that affecting your thinking, and your behavior and your consciousness.
So the underlying content was here, affecting wo thinking.
Yes.
Wo behavior, any wo consciousness.
You understand?
Okay.
Inti say o start sana ebi o friend no harmful use. That's the first part. Harmful use nature say o nom ensa no. But edin sunsan so boni bi ebrew. Ti say bia unya relationship issues. O yere kasa o busuafo kasa but still u use. Ebi a wo nom ensa, u use drug na ede physically no. Ebi ama o lung cancer na say ama ulcer bia na say ama liver disease. Still ugusu use. Ebi a ejuma mi when your queries ni ama still use any friend harmful use. And that is one sign say you are getting to a point of addiction. Two, if it be hazardous use. Say bia u use na unya accident to yourself. Ebi a one no nsa when your accident still u use. Ebi a u ye ejuma of machines ni ama affect you. Ebi a u ye ejuma if say studio wa ba no aba beda. But you are still using it. It's a sign that you are dependent. The other sign is when you are increasing your use consistently. To say be a first now for two, after two no end satisfy. You realize that over a period of time no, you are continuing to add on. And when your friend of tolerance, it means that you are like a kosuru. It's a sign. Another sign is a different withdrawal. Withdrawal and they say anytime when you use to say you cannot function. You say unse woso ase wuntumi nante wuntumi ndidi wuntumi ne bibia ase one fail drone ase bibi yo it's a sign. Then we have something we call lack of control and a loss of control. And wutumi tina wa ubetumi a sana sa na ubetumi anom wi ni sa na cocaine ube use that until said ye wo wonsem ne besa no. You cannot international classification of diseases ICD say who was anya may be 3 a harmful use, hazardous use, tolerance, withdrawal, lack of control, use despite negative consequence, and use to avoid say symptoms. Who were 3 of some of these things are, it shows that you are addicted. It is a obi or one be our and sana orphano, and say a bruise too much. Say ojaya on to me nejuma, and also say otumit nasi to miria to so be pass offer. It's a sign. Say bia Nipano is getting to a point of dependence and addiction.
And Commander Yatucheno is about drug abuse and I say illicit drug use. Now, this sound come because Abribia and said MD can kayano afibiano. We are safe and I said that it's not the Daba Koto na yakase. Drug use and I say illicit drug abuse in a home sense. I will say it to me, it did a home como. Na ye pen 7 agency we say say e wonsunsan so pi a edeba eye nipadua no so edeba eye society so and the economy at large doc de wono no onim de na doc mame bi say o say ofa yemfa ne say obi akọ no monsa e den na koso onipa no ewidie mu.
Okay, inti alcohol at lower doses, say offer alcohol at very small doses, it is a stimulant. That means that a stimulating to my way hyper. It is a one no saka crabia.
Hyper no what treat him.
Just say it my way crack.
When you
yes, it will go was my minko chaka crabby na minko come adventure. It's because at lower doses no. Alcohol no a stimulant. It mean my we need G to me yen maybe manebroso.
But dog you body didn't well.
Say you body didn't. They be am catching for say it is not founded anywhere medical say yeah no monsa stimulating. Who person who did they be am catch say oh ma me 50 time I wo out there no for no usa udi beans no go be na now no monsa unyi na o say no monsa
about the amount for can amount for appetite
more of a social convention say o say utwa kakra but wow appetite no appetite o you will be your appetite but you no monsa at lower doses na alcohol it will kakra but at higher doses no alcohol is more of a depressant it will say oboto a slow down bibia until now say obi a one no say heavily no on anti-crash why slow na the kasa na so kasa say aye me as a slebisa until ensano at lower doses na ma we cracker but onum the bebre a depressor and ensan is one of the most dangerous thing because over a period of time you know affecting memory until omo monum san bebre no after some time no they omu to me for many new memories. Says you no kase nyama ma catch we. After a period of time, no kai. So alcohol is one of the major causes of memory issues in our country, but people don't even know. Until be over one no san afi o kan bibia chere no until they be obisa that kind no. To be honor be on any bon common now no sana be I say on time kai nyama. It's a sign say the alcohol is having a severe damage on him. So alcohol there a shell so a disinhibit. You don't have control of yourself. Until whatever comes to your mind, you begin to say it. Now, yes, say open say obi can a secret chair. Because at that point, it is inhibited. Whatever comes to his mind, Obeka. Because now it be about your prefrontal cortex, or front part of your brain, and then be as emphasis said, me jina be am say, me John so Obeka chem say a higher studio John so but say ono alcohol na a disinhibit a blockers apart no. Inti bibiara beba wa adwum say no.
Oh yeah.
You will do it.
Saint Francis say bia Junso gu ho a ojina ho anu Junso gu ho.
Ti wo say bia obi a won say bia Junso bia we na nipa mu na we ni say we ni be ma na Junso. It's because the alcohol has disinhibited the person. And the person cannot control himself. It's in this world we now hear about illicit drugs. We are saying that it should be more of the patient first. Say obi wo ho na bia o yusun droboni na ono nsa. Instead of say your best friend na ye be huro no, we should know that it is said there we hypertension and diabetes. And this person needs help. That this person uhia also say no na also to say rehab na also we encourage them to go to the rehab. Say alcoholic anonymous and support groups na also corner ebwana. We should do that because yes stigmatizing nipa na yes nipa na ye cancer boni say we ye quarantine we ye nipa boni no. It does not really help the person to change their behavior. But when we have a more supportive community and our environment, it actually enables people to seek the change they want. Until we should try and put away the stigma because truth is that it can happen to everybody.
Yes, I agree.
It can happen to your relative. Which my papa or mommy and now be because sometimes obi or onim. There's this young girl I saw. Or party no be lazy a drama. No him say cannabis and it's really took care of. So it can happen to your sister, your friend, a brother, but also be Oma. We should rather offer that supporting environment. We should be more of a community first. No, not a society. We are more of community. Say obi two obi a FIA now, but say obi say ya emfa obi aho. Say be a Kolabio area. Almost start no trauma done. We also made them in person make count myself. But we should try and create a community that helps to break the stigma rather than tagging them say we should know that there's something going on in the brain that is making them seek to use the drug more. It's not in as much as they have a social context that affects them. The biological component is what rather drives them more to use the drugs.
Doc, I hope you and then we have a conversation around also you mentioned about one of the predominant drugs that seems to be abused in our country. Oh, you mentioned marijuana.
Yeah.
It's one of the illicit drugs. Amount for 80 AU super. And we'll have a conversation about that because a lot of people have been asking questions. Say, I didn't say I have mine. Now, have I so there? Obia Timmy at the end of the day. And I didn't have mine. I'm used to it. I was saying Timmy Kunya so and as I buy no, it's in my call a level beer. Me junior who I meant as a dog betray him. And the I know my main cow said, Nango Pondamo, China, or China, or China, or China. Ochina a year memenda 24th of June 2023. Salah Food Fest train no ye call Medina Market. Nti se wa onim da ya call Kaswa ya call Nima ye pe ye womonsa no ebo adwuma womonsa no ye zo mutimi nua aduane ma aduane ye kama aduane ye de a je ze udidi a utimi bu wonum ton na mamembusa whether it is going to be a year Sabun Zongo, Tuba Zongo, Mamobi Zongo, Alajo, and I say a year Nima, and I'm Medina Zongo, and I'm with me, Eddie and Kunim in this year's a year Salah Food Fest, a year Jumadia, 24th of June. Now go pound more channel Beckham at Medina Market, Nayemfa and Shesha. So tasty Tom now, almost so yasene, now your day a year Salah Food Fest, no every for any a tea for Media Tree, a Miyako in Medina Market, Fortune Rice, Fried Toe, and HD Plus, the Philly experience, you know, what most also are saying. Kai said, Salah Food Fest is powered by Happy 98.9 FM. Make us say we are not a bra. de minya enumwa ma ho den betimi asore si ne na so bio Adonko next level premium energy drink. Minim say via doc beka se sefa hwe no anko no bio no so betimi abuse na hwe dem you am busa doc. Nemom Adonko next level premium energy drink no de vitamins wom proteins wom eno na onom a watoba hasempo ase aba na ase wa ese bonto edi akaja kura no obetimi asore senje na ona so bio na wetimi atoa so atoko so de ojuma wo se wetimi edidie modern afre na ni omni nkita ona kopa bi eto 0204 898 698 0592 610 998 mami mo kokko se wo ye obi a wo ma abofra nufo ana se wo ye obi a wafa afra mesrew hwe na wankwa nkofa bi anom wo ye obi a ye sensitive to caffeine na mesrew hwe ene wankwa nkoto Adonko next level premium energy drink ni bi anom ena sanso na wo ye obi a woni emfie edunwotwe tie ne ye woni emfie edunwotwe a hwe na wankwa nkoto Adonko next level premium energy drink ni bi anom we ene eye enkaibo kakra ho a wo se medema ahwefo ne atiefo ne mo besua de Heritage Christian College omo se men kancho se BSc nursing degree no de o ma hya se enti modern afa wo application ko yebetimi afa se de bia betimi agentete na ogentete ni wi a wako ayaresa bia hodo na wo man mu no wako akoboa se de be yebetimi ahwe omo a wo mo ho aka adwama na se wo mo ho edodo om kakra no yare Heritage Christian College a university training compassionate entrepreneurial leaders 26 June and World Drug Day. Na ahead of that, no, yen twɛn madani adu ansane ye di ho nkomo. Ene doc ewo fidue mu. Sanso na Ora Reese Hakim Odro, Deputy Greater Accra Regional Head Narcotics Control Commission. One also ewo fidue mu. Dr. Joseph K Aidoo de mena na hya se atwen nkomo na adeda. Reese aba. Reese me o chiro no mka chem so Reese say your cost me na am say. Akwa abonia.
Yes.
Bijiri se mpombo ko de.
Na me adon bia boko.
Mami mra dog na mbusa dog this question. Cannabis. Ofa dan nesi because only people so mu.
Okay. So cannabis no it's a naturally occurring plant. Natural haban. However, the cannabis no has certain chemicals in it. It has what you call 9-delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol, or cannabidiol, or cannabi2-diol. The component of the THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, and a cannabidiol, that shows how dangerous it is. The ones and medical marijuana and most of them are genetically engineered.
Okay.
So they have
so they are not naturally occurring.
Yes. So they are genetically engineered to make it such that the cannabidiol now, and when they use it for medicinal purposes, is at a higher component in relation to the THC.
Okay.
However, the ones we have naturally occurring here,
oh my God,
the THC content is so high. Actually, from the standards that the last Canadian Psychiatric Association brought about, you see the cannabis, the THC should not be more than about 0.9% and 3%. Yeah, the last survey, I read the paper. The least you can get is like 6%. The cannabis that we have is so dangerous that if you don't take time, and what it does is that if the cannabis is taken, it affects that part of your brain. And you see, cannabis is a hallucinogen. And you see psychosis. It can let people have mental health problems. So in as much as people want us to legalize cannabis and all that, they should look at the context in which the others that are even doing it have done it. It is not just that because you have heard that, oh, there is medical marijuana, we should use our marijuana for medicine. You get it? It is, they have genetically engineered it to make sure that the THC component and the cannabidiol component is that. Because THC makes you hyper. The cannabidiol is a relaxer. That part is a relaxer. So they use it for people who have more cancer or more like end stage diseases like euphoria. They give it to them to try and boost their motivation and other things. So
say you can in the context of medicine that we should know what we are talking about. And you say you can say yanko time na yanko fa we ne matter no dem pa na yanko fa de o because na yan famra na yan family to hospital na mo bia use. If we say that in the broader context without finding out the details of what they have done, that's why they've been able to legalize. Because truth is, almost medical marijuana, they take it to labs for it to be tested. You don't just put it out there and say, oh, my medical marijuana and say, oh, mama minto. See the way your FDA and it has passed the test. No? That is the stages we have to go to. But currently, we are not there yet. We are not there yet.
My members are Reese with regards to the questions and other conversations surrounding the legalization of marijuana. Commission, when these issues come up, I am more fun to say.
That was the match I have fun with you for. So, issues of legalization about PMPA, who's a cook down for breed or one to uncommon. Until say a tear, yes, we had the court, I dream. Now you share. We will say the nitty-gritties, the pros and cons. Say, bet me, adjatum, and I am into. It's in a mirror, yes, I am mirror no. On the first, now, PNDC 236 in a day, Juma. I don't know, Casata, and your choose who you sue cannabis and marijuana a year. A buy and I say, Mrandy chocolate and a minimum of 5 years in prison and a maximum of 10 years. Yes, I am mirror no, now say, propose a bad and China and chair, but who says, send a doctor can say. Mebo doctor and so abaso wa chirichiri mu pa say ye hwe cannabis na wa ma no na medicinal one as oka say they are genetically manufactured no ni hu say si ebetimi anya cannabis na say cannabis wo Ghana ha ya na THC content ni 0.3% dia ebetimi agi atum enti ye de ko share ye mira num wo section 43 section 43 no me kaya say the Edikan Kenya, so despite section 39 and 42, what the banning substance, the minister, on the recommendation of the commission, may grant a license for the cultivation of cannabis that has no more than 0.3% THC content on dry wheat for the purpose of industrial purposes, fiber, seed, or medicinal purposes. Now, subsection 2 now captures for avoidance of doubt, the license granted shall not be used for cultivation of cannabis for recreational use. Now, just say, washing your arena, this aquad, the quad, the cambo, or the idea we shame say in Cassania of Freno and as a proposals neighbor near be consider BBC as doctors and I can near to aquam rehab centers in ECC, mental health doctors, you boost your mass scholars of Uncle Focus, your nurses near increasing in and Sanaka yet me are really adding up. And Omar Baby, the Ecogena Supreme Court say what is a gun here, but we are tuned into a bad interpretation. The Jakukudam, the court to Kuno down, man, you must almost bo adre to adrian. Not as some so much say a year section 43 of our act, it lacks what they call procedural legitimacy. Almost cite article 106 of the 1992 Constitution. Anything I did, anytime you be parliament, I'll say go through certain required processes. The share section 43 now, it did not go through the mail and fact. Process ni nyina mu ansa na ye dia tum ebi onso policy change be o said the memorandum bi ka ho na ye kire omamanum compelling reason justification tia ye dia tum ni nyina ya mfa ama ntitwa no kwa no ye twam 5-4 decision na mu eruli tia ye nti say no nkofo proposals o mo de ba ye ni nyina no nim say na nkofo blame na sinye ye Supreme Court da bia ye ka say ye mra na o mo na mra na ye o mo dia ye o mo kan yes to o mo say section 43 no yentimi you see just a stance na dey ye twam ti afi ne ye say go back to the drawing board ne akoto to adwene ne ahwe kwanya ye be say timi afa so ye timi anya 0.3% THC cannabis na say emra ne makwan wi a afi be magana man nyina so aswati the status of cannabis say
I think it's well explained now. I don't know say doc bia obi o de be kan wo but now can person me busa say apart from cannabis any apart from alcohol what you say, baby, the abuse is high. No, Reese. Other drugs, bang, any one my more amount for abuse because there was a timer in Techiman. You see, super glue. Asa. Add there. Mrantie ne mamu wo mu ho no. Koto anoma twukom just to make them high. Apart from alcohol and cannabis, drugs being built and a woman list so you who say the puppy no abuse.
Yes, substances na say drugs na dey a dose pa. Na emu me ba ya mamu ha ni ayeta hunu ni ayeta achi na ayeta ate cocaine eka ho. Any e obako e friend say heroin.
Okay.
Those are the illegal ones. Maybe I na me team say doctor can illicit and as a prescribed ones nti cocaine heroin is illegal and as illicit ones no. And a prescribed ones be a tramadol. And also omu use pa
Still
and I say the new trend be aba no na e wo I'm say baby Satan company the church ya Satan company for am malata market and na eno am koye enkyerɛkyerɛ ne enuanom omo wo sa get ho no kodi nkomo ti no mo kyerɛkyerɛ bi glue no the concept a new trend glue ye from inhalant solvent because they volatile no ubie so a then they go rubber mu na bibi no mo twiko mu and so ma wo high because of the toluene na ewo mu no there's a chemical in glue a ma sa high no na kick no to mo bie so no mo twiko wo mu a na toluene no ekọ adwen no mu a na mo nya sa feeling no na wo twi nya se glue na no hye irritated nose no kra e ma wo collapse boy ba ko ba me nkyane be di nkomo se me hwe no afi no wadi 13 so me no na me se ade no ne ho rashes ne no se ade no o twe tramol o the fry energy drink na waye glue ni so mu a o twe kakra these are all substances because you bobo substances cough mixtures ni nyina people are abusing them but near illegal no cocaine and heroin. These ones here other substances are people through their own means come up with it because when you say then they are going into it. So there are a lot of countless the doctor and so almost where they are taba or
into the American count say cocaine and heroin. Cocaine is a stimulant. Heroin is a opioid. It's in the same class as tramadol. It's ever a tramadol on an average, maybe if you take 200 milligram a day, that is the normal for 24 hours.
200 milligram.
Yes. However, Nippon Alpha Tramadol has taken close like 500 milligram and added it to an energy drink which contains the same taurine in the glue. Into oboni taurine in tramadol goes to stimulate your opioid receptors. A man or high. You get it. Recently, I'm going for second, and I was very, very happy because tramadol is not a drug that should be sold like our market and any other. Without prescription, you shouldn't even get things like tramadol. And all, and even I say boys need to be bad diazepam, Valium. They are abusing Valium. And now flunitrazepam recently we have students before in some who are abusing it. These are drugs that like who need prescription you should not get. And we have to commend the Narcotics Control Board and FDA for some of these things that they are doing to crack down on some of these. Sometimes because you who say will be a juma, but will be a juma now say because it's destroying the lives of so many people. And young people are hooked on some of these things.
But not me, because I said, when you know all of the illegal drugs, any illegal, but among for air abuse. One more, as soon as so any dear him.
So, first of all, no say obi use illicit drug. One of the things it takes your finances. Because you need money to get the drugs. And a lot of people have gone into debt, especially those who are heavily addicted. They will borrow. There are some who come with huge debts because some of the drugs are very expensive. And to get them, maybe
just to get the drug?
Just to get the drug. Because if they don't get it, reaction now, it is not comfortable. The obey may start to say there is a compulsion to use. It's the baby obenya a drone account system obenya. Two, my social vices so cost because obi ona onya maybe obetri 2 AC obi so na obetri second obi so na obi break into obi just so that they get the substance to use. It takes away productivity. Say obi owa nka edwuma obetumi aye no esan drugs niti nipa no kra onya time to concentrate on the job they are using. It breaks families, destroy careers, and research has shown that about 1 in 7 of people with HIV they get it from IV drug use. That means there's almost the injection because most of the time they share. It's where the one now where they are one now where they are one. Hepatitis B, Hep C, HIV, and all other things. So it what they say, mind. Then other infections, and most of the time the mortality rate is high. In the end, it leads to loss of life. In the end, in Kofobibre, it will before their time. You have a lot of 30-year-olds, 15 years old who are dying because of the overdose.
15-year-old.
Yes, overdose of the drug. Like many Hakimeka about inhalation, a blockade vessels so your breathing is even affected. You can't even breathe well. Then you can collapse and say Rashua. So it is destroying a lot of lives. It's affecting our productivity. A lot of talents and a lot of minds that could have helped shape the country in the next 10 years, 15 years are being lost currently due to the drugs.
But Hakim,
Mamma kakranka is answering so. I'm the doctor, I can't have a boat be so, but another one so critical. Yeah, and paper in can't no bonny who's so because I made them in new in family. However, their activities or their actions when they are intoxicated, that is the violent nature, any inducing accident that can happen when you are intoxicated. So a driver no cover at the end one, or between a cotton or two not watching or pretty machine, or between the channel and sana. So I don't know those aspects. Now, your bam ranu moon so swap, and man say a chow say who you sue in no mubia. Your dear chow crown 200 penalty units. That is a penalty unit here, 12 cities, 2 multiplied by 200, any ubitria. Any idea your tria boss will say 500 penalty. You can pay between 200 to 500 penalty. However, when to me in PSK year, a man say found 15 months. Work with them almost 1 year, 3 months. You say a man and trying 1 year, 3 months, like I say, prison the kind of 15 months, the kind of bosom 15. Work with them. Name Momuno say, tell a doctor kind of addiction, a mental illness. Say the old Nasa court to Mr. Manama Quine say. Section 45, subsection 5, and they say, you shall one year no. Need me say, acquire say, or I dream how. You very fair to a medical doctor. The medical doctor never certify say, pa. Oh, I dream how dear. Any in consultation with Narcotics Control Commission, you very fair to a rehab center for treatment. In Tiano dear. Found Kotman news. It's in paper, say news items, it be headlines, let me say. Oh, now when you smoke, you found to prison. Yes and no, because fine in the honor. The one to me to fine, over 50 months. I just get me say, and you're not because we are addicted. Medical doctor and Becca say, we are addicted and send it to work or rehab. To see a fine, say your children say when you're addicted, you will pay the fine. So, almost share no so.
Me must say, oh, boss, rehabilitation centers. They don't do better than mine.
Okay, doctor, I remember Manaka.
So currently, for government ones, we have a very beautiful one at Accra Psychiatry. That one is very, very well structured. They have a table, the tennis and all those things. And they have part-time rehab, they say anchor-full rehab. And I know there are a few private ones too, about 6 or 7. But if I won't say we have more than 30 rehabs in Ghana. I won't say we have more than 30 rehabs in Ghana. And the other thing is the cost of rehab. So sometimes people have dependence and they want to like go to rehab, but it's also comes at a cost. And we are hoping that private companies and some of funding will come to support, because there are people who genuinely want to. If you go to Papa Muko Malatamaki, there are people who genuinely want to like go through rehab, but the means to go to rehab is also not there. And like I said, rehab is one of the ways to break addiction. And the thing with rehab is that, that's what I say, people with addiction, it's a chronic disease, it's a hypertension. Somebody may go to rehab and do well and not come back. Somebody may go to rehab and after about 6 months, 1 year, have a relapse, but the person can still come back. Some it takes, actually research has shown that most people, it will take about at least 2 rehab sessions for them to fully go off. Wait, if you are now like what the rehab one time, after about 6 months, the person has gone back to it. Don't give up. Just encourage the person to go back to the rehab. Aside the rehab too, there's what we call Alcoholic Anonymous, as well for alcohol, no? Focus group meeting. Abrofo I watch movies and most of the time I say no I say my name is we I'm an alcoholic no that say ekasa. Truth is we have that in Ghana, but because of the stigma associated with say who you sue in Bonia, people cannot even open up. Unlike Abrochira is okay to talk about it that I joined this group or I joined this way. Elsewhere where there are advancements, that's what we call replacement therapy. For those like heroin and tramadol in Yamano. That's what we call replacement therapy. There are other drugs are in the same class, but they are not as harmful. They say methadone. So they give them as a patch. So over the period of time, they will be using it, and after time, they wean them off. But methadone and all those things are not in the country yet. We pray that we get there. It's also all cost dependent. The people cannot afford, but we are making strides, small, and like the Narcotics Control Board is also helping. We are making strides, and we pray that in the next maybe 5-10 years, we may have
10 years more.
Mami fa bi nka ho. Em za sa me bia obi hwa na obi tie ne de doctor say rehab centers wo ho. Timi anom na mako. As wo kan no treatment aka say nye easy, we cost no kwa free mu a. You go in, you come out, you relapse, you go, you come. And one than change. And na facilities no bobo ni nyina no. Say you define rehab center. These are just units within our psychiatric hospitals. But rehab is gina ho on its own. Aban ni bi. However, our section 22 charges increase what we call the substance use disorder rehabilitation fund. So fund dem ye dey be boa omo yare nyemfa bi nso nsi rehab centers. They say no yenya sika no dodo no. Tini person start as a commission say ye be drop-in centers across the country so that you can as some kind of outpatient. You walk in, we help you out, then you go. You walk in. But as it stands now, no, rehabilitation is very expensive in Ghana. It would tear money in order.
And Mr. Kwame Ampadu, money in order. Unim say Okoko Numna Okoko ya and here we wish for crab a bit. But you didn't come to train no. My member said the program lineup for this year's World Drug Day, no. Hakim. Then she say the Narcotics Control Commission, but they are to acquire because already you mentioned say you even went baby Edina boy baby I'm going
Satan Company.
Satan Company.
Yes, Malaka Market. Satan Company.
Satan Company for I don't pay.
Erone or boy and Chumuina at Chiamu.
I give me the commission. And near Mamma Diego come and ask Diego.
Okay, I feel no, my name's a dog the Campbell team this one. The team is people first. Stop stigma and discrimination, strengthen prevention. To echo and I say be man of what say I'm paying the World Drug Day no. A China memory, health work.
Okay.
You starting on Monday, media engagements through and do our what TV, radio, nobody and throughout the week. And maybe community program here make us a kwaye or malatay. Saturday channel call health work. Start 5:30 or ayi mensa near food pediase near Siaba. We are between for say roadside campaign in the course of health talk. Keep it fit no near say to me tons afre Ghana man you know what time one no the kind ho na tenten wapum. We are a Jordan so there's going to be a deba. A grand deba or Alisa Hotel. On your launch this year World Drug Day no.
Alisa Temadena na say
I cry yes. To bet me about tons of from Umrana Umeka and when you share a fan fe. No see a camua na ye there will be post launch where media engagement, community engagement, school sensitization as we already been doing no. You bet to us near ye, sir, a human in Yakoso Bodero no, a man for at it, say, and Pabibisa or what I was say, we are here.
Doc, my mouth the last batch of the cherry. Now, answer Jumadina. So, a foot over another a year and a pay more fair, more you've been abusing drugs secretly. Doc say, oh, foot to the mount, Timunti.
A foot to me, ma, Yashafoni, for say. Sanya Makano, if you open the gateway, say or start to say we should drugs now, you may not. It is a cycle, a continue. Until what one shall see no, bon hobai.
Okay.
don't enter into it. MOB, ML pressure, MOB in country so over so we share na bibi. Let us keep ourselves, especially the youth. Also, our woman now share you are increasing use like unyen do hoyet, but Russia Nancy I say you crave for these drugs more and more. Come and seek help. You may not even need rehab now, but you can go through some of these psychology sessions and you'll be fine. Also, I will do honor you want to come out of it. Just seek help. Just come to any facility, just walk in. And you shouldn't be ashamed. Yeah, send up a menu account. People first. Nipa nenkwa no hu hian. Stigma na ye de ka ho ne de. We should take it away from it. And we should all encourage each other. Say we are a community. Say menu ato for ma. We should love each other.
Reverend Dr. Joseph Kofi, the medical doctor at Accra Psychiatric Hospital, Rees Hakim Odro, Deputy Greater Accra Regional Head, Narcotics Control Commission. Omo ma bejo afo ene ombeka mensa e wojumadi ene so World Drug Day, 26th of June 2023. Ebeko so say Onia Rees e de yenhihye no atu edwa enema the Narcotics Control Commission wo beye to mark the day. Yanko so na yemo ho ban se on use bi da e ma obi an hye wo se chenchena ati akona kokko use bi esan se unnim insunsuan so a e de beba so wo a wo use bi a opese ote ho firi ho no e na doc e ka kire wo modern a seek for help entena ho entwen a mane num pompon so bi afei obehwe na ye ho hwe a enye yi